All right, today we are going to look at how to evaluate a function, and specifically a function written in what's called function notation, which looks like this right here. So you saw from our video that a function takes an object, whatever that object is, say chickens, and as the object goes through the function does the same thing to all the inputs. All right, so it turns chicken into chicken nuggets or fish into fish sticks, or in this case, it's going to take an input of a number and it's going to perform these operations to it. It's going to multiply by 3 and add 4. So let's put some numbers into our function. So on your note sheet, let's fill in the input column. -1, 0, 1, 2, and 3. Input is my x value. So that tells me what I'm going to put in for x. It tells me what number I'm going to substitute for x into this function. The output we call f of x, or the answer. Now, you might be more used to seeing our output shown as y. So we can kind of use those interchangeably. F of x, or sometimes this might be y. Right? Y is equal to 3x plus 4. So now I'm going to take this -1 and I'm going to replace the x with -1. Remember, right next to each other means multiply. So this means 3 times, I'll put -1 in parentheses, 3 times -1 plus 4. And now I'll evaluate this function using order of operations. So I'm going to multiply first. 3 times -1 is -3. -3 plus 4 is 1. Now, just like I can put anything into my function machine, right? Chickens, fish, whatever, I can put in any input. So I put in -1. Now I'm going to input 0 into the same function. So now I'm going to replace x with 0. I'm going to evaluate the same function for a different input. So now I'm going to do 3 times 0 plus 4. 3 times 0 is 0, plus 4 is 4, and so on. And do it again. This time my input is 1. So 3 times 1 plus 4 would give me 7. And input 2. 3 times 2 plus 4 would give me 10. And then I will do it one more time. 3 times 3 plus 4 and that will give me 13. And notice there is a pattern here. Notice that every time x increases by 1, my output increases by 3. That's not a coincidence. Look what I'm multiplying x by, 3. So every time the input increased by 1, the output increased by 3. Now if I wanted, I could graph these, right? I have an x and a y value. These are ordered pairs. So I'm going to graph the ordered pair, -1. Remember, x is this axis. -1, 1 would be right here. And then I'm going to graph 0, 4, which would be right here. And then I'm going to graph the point 1, 7. So right 1, up 7 would be right here. I'm going to graph 2, 10. Go right 2, up 10 would be right here. And my last point, 3, 13, is going to be off the graph somewhere up here. But notice they line up with each other, right? I can now graph these points by drawing a straight line through them. There's the graph of my function. F of x equals 3x plus 4. So let's try one more. Flip your note sheet over. Now my function is 5x minus 2. So that means for every input, this can be my x. I'm going to get an output, which we're going to call f of x or y. So this could be f of x, or sometimes you might refer to it as y, which you can see x and y. So let's use the same inputs. Let's use -1, 0, 1, 2, and 3. So remember, this tells me that I'm going to plug -1 in for x. So I have 5 times -1 minus 2. And if you need a calculator for this step, go ahead and grab one. 5 times negative 1 is negative 5. Negative 5 minus 2 is negative 7. Now I'm going to perform the same operations, but with an input of 0, because my x is 0. So 5 times 0 minus 2 would just be 0 minus 2, or negative 2. I'm going to put in 1. So 5 times 1, 5 times 1 is 5. 5 minus 2 is 3. Put in 2. 5 times 2 minus 2. 5 times 2 is 10. 10 minus 2 is 8. And then one more time. Now I'm going to put in 3. 5 times 3 minus 2. 5 times 3 is 15. 15 minus 2 would give me 13. And look what I'm multiplying by. I'm multiplying by 5. Look what's happening to my output. Went up by 5, up by 5, up by 5, up by 5. Again, that's not a coincidence that every time x increases by 1, my output or my y increased by 5. If you want to try and plot these points, you can go ahead and put those on the graph right here, and I'll let you do that step on your own.